Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming tonight for a follow-up presentation on the February 22nd incident. My name is Kevin Armstrong, and I am your sheriff, and I'll have everybody else introduce themselves up here.
Good evening, my name is Troy Cooper. Good evening. Can you hear me now? My name is Troy Cooper. I'm a commander of the Blackhawk Police Department.
Good evening. I'm Matt Betty, Sergeant, Colorado State Patrol.
Good evening. I'm Greg Depot with the Sheriff's Office, Division Chief.
Hello there. My name is Christina Mahoney, and I am the Victim Services Coordinator for Gilpin County Sheriff's Office.
Good evening, Jay Wolf, Agent in Charge, Colorado Division of Gaming.
Good evening, Nathan Whittington, Gilpin County Emergency Manager.
Gary Allen, Central City Fire Department Chief.
Again, thank you for coming, and that's just a small snippet of the first responders that were part of the day on February 22nd, and then also the improvement plan that we have come up with. Let me start off by saying that on February 22nd of this year, Gilpin Dispatch received a call from a male who said he was in front of Gilpin County School with an AR-15 and bombs. During the call, shots could be heard in the background, heightening the seriousness of this call. On February 21st of this year, just the day before, a fiber optic line was cut, resulting in little or no communication in our county, to include our school. Attempts were made several times to call into Gilpin County School without success. Gilpin County Dispatch aired the information received of the possible active shooter with the AR-15 and the bombs to all police over the police radio. Gilpin County Sheriff's Office, Black Hawk Police Department, Clear Creek Sheriff's Office, Colorado Division of Gaming, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and the Colorado State Patrol immediately responded to the school. Black Hawk Police Department arrived first on scene, deployed officers to the front of the school. Gilpin County Sheriff's Office deputies arrived shortly thereafter and responded to the secondary portion of the school. Within 8 minutes, we had a number of officers in the hallways of the school securing those hallways. Black Hawk police officers immediately had entered the front of the school to secure the elementary wings. During this time, we had received also 2 safe-to-tell calls that heightened the concern within our school of the active shooter. During this process, I worked with Dr. Dave, made the decision that we needed to evacuate the school and do a reunification up at the community center. When the plan that we had for the reunification looked great on paper. However, the implementation of the plan failed. Communication was very poor in several areas, and I take full responsibility for that. On February 27th, I had a parents' meeting to describe the incident and plan to improve the Sheriff's Office response. The meeting tonight is to update our parents, staff, and community on the progress we have made for improvements. The initial response to the school by law enforcement went very well. The Sheriff's Office has taken some of the comments made at the February 27th meeting and implemented them into our response. The biggest change has come in the reunification process and protocol. I want to first thank the Sheriff's Office Victim Services, Parks and Recs Director, Gabrielle Chisholm, and her staff for the completely revamping the reunification process and protocol. Due to the unique nature of our community, we face many challenges that other communities do not. Because of this, we have collaborated with all of our first responders in the county to complete this comprehensive plan. They have done an exceptional job in creating a reunification process that meets the needs of Gilpin County. The foundation for our plan is the I Love You Guys Foundation, which can be found on any website. I love, and then a U, not Y-O-U, but you do, letter U, guys.org. I hope that people will visit that. Again, that was the foundation for the process and the protocol that we went through to establish what we believe is going to be a success for Gilpin County. Gilpin County made a few minor changes to reflect our specific needs in the community. Gilpin County Victim Services, Community Center staff, and Eagles staff did a walkthrough on this plan last month. They did identify some gaps and have made the changes necessary to fill those gaps. I would like to show you now a video of what this program is built on, and then I will highlight a few of the major points. Do the video, please.
Reunification is the method by which we safely get students reconnected with their parents and reunify them. The standard reunification method was actually created by the I Love You Guys Foundation. A reunification happens whenever the school or the building is no longer safe to be in, and so it can be any situation. It can be a water main break, it could be a loss of power, a severe weather event. Any of those situations could result in reunification. As soon as we're notified of reunification and we know where the students will be staged and where parents need to be, we will send out a text message through our communication center, or dispatch center.
So you want that to go out now and timestamp that at 8:58?
The most important thing a parent can do when an incident is starting or you get notified of something happening at your student's school is just to be patient and wait for direction from the school district or the school about next steps. You don't want to approach the school as it is potentially an unsafe situation, and as soon as the district or the school has the appropriate information, we'll let you know where to go. The most important thing for us while students are in our care is that they're having as stress-free time as possible. So that means we're entertaining them, we have movies playing, they are with trusted adults, we have EMS, fire, police, we have school nurses, social emotional liaisons, we have social workers, directors of student support services. All of those pieces are accounted for, and we're all here working together to make sure students are safe and feel safe. Once the parents notify the reunification and where to go, they'll arrive on site. They'll probably see a line of parents already, or they might be the first ones there. The biggest thing is that they're going to make sure that they have a valid ID on them. They'll get in line. There will be a person managing the line and will hand them a card. The card will fill out with their students' information, their information, and then they'll move to the line in order to get to the next point. A guardian or parent that's coming to reunification should make sure that they have a valid ID, and that can be a driver's license, a state-issued ID, anything with a name and a picture. While the students are in our care, it's our responsibility to make sure that they're safe. And until we reunify that student with their parent, they're our responsibility. Accountability is really important in this situation, and we want to make sure that each student is accounted for and that every parent gets the right student. Staff will verify that the student is on site and ready to be reunified. We'll call for that student, and as a parent moves down the line, the student is called over. So we make sure that we're calling the right student up, that the student feels safe going with the person that's there to pick them up. At the very last spot, they will be reunified with their parent, and final checkout will be with the principal. So this process may take up some time, but it's going to ensure that your student is safe and that we get them to you safely. There are a lot of of situations where a student may not be able to take their vehicle home after an incident, whether that be because there's a gas leak in the area or an active crime scene or the traffic is blocked off, a student who drives may need to be reunified on site with the rest of their peers. It's important to set up a system with your student when an emergency happens around how often you will text each other, whether that be every 10 minutes to check in or even longer than that. But the most important thing is that we keep networks clear for emergency notification. The most prompt and accurate way to make sure that you're being notified of incidents like a reunification is to ensure that you're following your district's procedure to update your contact information. The only way you'll get the most up-to-date information is if your contact information is up to date, as well as that you're opted into any text messaging that's available through your district. Your child's safety is our #1 priority, and we want to make sure that this process is a positive one for both the parent and the student.
Again, this is a great foundation that we have in developing our plan for our reunification process at our community center. First off, we'll start off with the Family Information Center. The Family Information Center will be at the barn of the community center. This is where all parents will check in. There will be tables set up to help navigate this process. Parents have asked what they can do to help. If you arrive early, you may be asked to help set up. And here is below, I'm going to go over the process that we're going to right now. One of the things that we would do within the first 30 minutes of any type of incident is we will activate a reunification process or protocol. So that process gets started almost immediately and is set up quickly or within an hour or so. The key to this, and I'm going to say this multiple times, is patience, patience, patience is the key. No student will be released until all students have arrived at the community center. Parents will need to fill out a reunification card for each student they have going to school here. These are the cards here, and we'll pass them around that you can take a look at. These are laminated copies and are separate from what you would get at the same design, just that you won't have it laminated at the reunification site. Parents must have a photo identification card, either a state ID or a driver's license with a picture on it, identifying them appropriately. We have checkers. Checkers will verify the information on the reunification card and the photo ID. It is imperative that the student be reunited with the proper parent or guardian. There are people that have custody issues that we need to be concerned about that cannot have the custody of these children. So we need to make sure and verify all information because these children are our primary concern for their safety and welfare. The parents and the guardian will receive the bottom portion of the card. The parent will be escorted to the Family Information Center, from the Family Information Center, which is the barn, to the Family Reunification Center at the community center, in groups of approximately 5 to be reunited with their children. Families with multiple children will have their children released at the same time. A runner will go get the students, and then you will be reunited with your child. The key to this working efficiently is to have patience and to follow the direction of the reunification personnel, who will be identifiable with either a green or a blue vest.
This is just an example of the vests that staff at the in the barn and at the rec center will have. Teachers will be identifiable in a green vest. I believe those are still on order.
Yes.
We don't have an example of that for them.
Thank you, Christina. I want to thank all of our first responding agencies. This was a collaborative effort of everybody that I'm going to list here in making this reunification process and protocol complete. Black Hawk Fire Department, Black Hawk Police Department, Central City Fire, Colorado Division of Gaming, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, Colorado State Patrol, Eagle's Nest, Gilpin Ambulance, Gilpin County Parks and Recreation, Gilpin County School, Timberline Fire, and all of the divisions in the Gilpin County Sheriff's Office. I want to thank each and every one of them because it was a large haul, a big heavy lift here, that we all came together, had a lot of conversation to make sure that we were doing the best in the reunification process for our children and our parents. At the, are you in the back? With the flyers. Okay. On the table, as you walked in the door, are some copies, correct, of the standard response protocol set up by the I Love You Guys Foundation. Also is the foundation of the reunification process that I Love You Guys has put out to help us be successful in this. I will now take questions or comments.
So the first question that I had is, I guess it's probably, well, I was gonna ask, what does the research show that supports the school's plan for active shooter or violent intruder? I guess I could probably find more information about that on the website that you mentioned.
You can do that for the I Love You Guys Foundation. The other thing is what we do is we took a number of different school shootings, Uvalde for one of them, and then we also took the best practices across the country, the ones that were successful and the ones that failed. And then we dissected those to help us arrive at the best practices plan that we have.
I was also going to ask, is the school's plan supported by the recommendations from the Department of Education or Homeland Security?
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Okay.
No, sorry to be behind everybody, but, so, the I Love You Guys Foundation is recognized by probably thousands of schools across the country as the way for standard response to active shooters and other incidents that may occur at school, as well as what we just watched, the standard reunification method of how we reunify students with their parents after an event at a school or anywhere for that matter. And a lot of what Kevin just kind of spoke to, I'll kind of extend and say, you know, the research has been done by the Secret Service, and they've put out some publications entitled, one of them is entitled like 20 years of school shootings. There are a lot of commonalities that the I Love You Guys Foundation has picked up on and have put those protocols into place. So as far as how we do lockdown, about 83% of active shooter situations are over in about 5 minutes in school. And then of that 83%, about 66% of those are less than 2 minutes. And so really what took place on that day when we had that swatting incident, teachers and students responded very appropriately. As Kevin said, law enforcement responded appropriately as well to secure the school and to try to figure out exactly what was going on. Later determined that the swatting incident was a hoax. Our situation was complicated by the state hotel call. It was report from inside the school. They thought a student had brought a gun to school, and there was a gun in the locker. So that kind of started the whole process over again, if you will, as that was investigated and figured out. But the Secret Service and those Secret Service statistics, 83%, 66%. The Secret Service also reports after 20 years of school shooting that students and teachers behind a locked classroom door have never been killed as of yet. I sure hope that keeps up. So that's the protocol, is to get behind a locked door. It's locked lights out of sight, maintain silence, and the protocol is to hide from the intruder or the intruders. That's a long answer to the question, yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of research that goes into these. Every time you have a school shooting or a mass casualty incident involving an active shooter, there's a lot of research that goes into it. There's a lot of critical thinking that is done and shared with law enforcement and first responders to improve our response. So it's not something simple, but it is critical that we make sure that we get it right, or try to get it right as best we can.
Absolutely.
One of the things that we did too is that I believe all the teachers took a training class, which is a half day on the I Love You Guys Foundation. And a number of the first responders, including myself and a few other people up here, also took that same training class last Tuesday with the I Love You Guys Foundation.
I wanted to say thank you for evaluating and solidifying the plan. No, that's not what I was thinking. My question is, how will this information get out to the parents at both here and at this class? Since they aren't going to be here tonight, did you already have a meeting, or how is that getting out so they all feel reassured?
We are working with the school because they have the ability to mass message parents, and then we can also use our hyper reach as well.
We've talked a lot tonight about the reunification plan for after one of these events happen or whatnot, but I want to talk a little bit about what the school's plan is for, I don't know if you guys can talk about that, but what the school's plan is for what, for if an active shooter comes, if a shooter comes to the school or a violent intruder, what the school's plan is. Is it just lockdown only here at the school, or?
There's a series of lockdowns and then also notification to the sheriff's office, and then first responders will immediately respond to that, just like they did on the incident when they came in. We did a lockdown drill yesterday, and one of the things that's happening too is that the doors are shutting automatically and locking to prevent anybody from going down one particular hallway or another. So isolating that potential active shooter, which is critical for our first responders.
I guess a question I would have is, are the classrooms locked during the day if there isn't an event going on, or is it just the front doors and the exterior doors?
All classrooms are.
They're locked even if there's not necessarily a lockdown procedure?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's great.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
part of the situation on February 22nd was the cutting of the communication cable on the 21st. Have you addressed that in terms of redundancy so your center is not stranded?
We're still working on that because we're looking at potentially purchasing or ordering immediately in this situation, what they call a COW, which is a cellular phone portable to get up here into the county. So we're looking at options that we have in there. Some of them we could purchase, but it's expensive. I believe Douglas County, in fact, I think they just put one on for sale that they had for FirstNet, which is AT&T only. And they're trying to get rid of theirs because they're going back to Verizon. So they wanted to get rid of theirs, and I think it was, what, 80,000 for just one.
And this is like a redundant backup in
Yes, sir.
case one of your cables is cut?
Yes, sir. We're trying to find as much redundancy as we can in there as well.
Another question I have is, if there's an actual lockdown in place and there was an actual active shooter or violent intruder inside the school, they had confirmed it absolutely, and there's a lockdown in place, what would my daughter's teacher tell the class once they had confirmed there was a violent intruder on the school grounds?
It's important to keep as much calm as you can in the school. Little information in that particular situation is the best. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to echo the comments of Sandy and thank everybody for participating in this and reevaluating the situation and finding those places where we could do better. So thank you and congratulations. It's obviously a community effort. But as we know, times change within our county. Is there a plan in place to revisit this reunification program and process at a certain time period?
Constantly, because there's always something going on that has changed the dynamics of what we can do or should be doing. And that could happen in another shooting in another school someplace else in the country that said that we need to make some modifications. And this is a fluid process. This is not set in stone. This is how we are going to work it now if it was to happen today. But they could change down the line.
And is there a process in place to re-communicate that information to the school body and parents? Is that something that the school would be in charge of? Or is it
We could do
joint
that,
effort?
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
was just gonna say, we're implementing training at least annually and probably even more biannually, just because we already do some sort of emergency training within the community center. So now this will be an addition to that.
And then one other question. You had mentioned that if you show up early, you're gonna start setting up tables in that reunification center.
we're gonna put you to work if you show up early, because we're gonna need the help to make sure that we get everything in place and everything for the influx of parents that are gonna come to the information center so that we can make sure that they reunite with their parent.
Is there an opportunity for community members that are interested and able to have some pre-training that we can call them on and have assistance, or would that be too many cooks in the kitchen?
But right now, we have places in process that what we would do is, the only place right now that you could probably help out is in the barn. Because everybody that would have to work in the reunification place has to be vetted to make sure that we don't have a sex offender or we have a violent felon being a volunteer in one of those processes. So we vet everybody that is going to be any contact whatsoever with a child. Again, safety of that child is paramount. And I've said this before, these are my kids too,
Appreciate that.
and I will protect them.
Really appreciate that.
I was just going to let everybody know that we are with the sheriff's office and the school staff. We're going to do a tabletop exercise on October 20th, just for the reunification. It's not going to be a full-blown reunification process. It's just going to be a tabletop exercise, but school staff and the sheriff's office and the rec center and everybody's going to be going through that.
And again, the tabletop is to identify any gaps that we may have in our process that we have not recognized yet. So we're constantly evaluating this plan that we have and will continue that process.
One more question.
Yeah, Wes?
If the Villa, the increase for the community center is not approved and the community rec center is closed multiple days during the week, will you have a backup plan if it were to be?
We will definitely have to take a look at that, work with our county manager and staff and everything to see how that works out. One of the things that they have in the job descriptors is other duties is assigned, so to speak, in an emergency. So we may have to go that route. Who knows? We haven't explored that idea yet.
But your first choice is the barn and the community center for the reunification.
The barn will be used for the family information center. That's where the families or parents will go. And the parents will get as much information as we can give them at that point. They will also be given the cards that need to be filled out for each student, not one for multiple students. You have to have a card for each student. And to be verified through our verification process with a photo ID before we can release that student. And then we will have the parent go to the Reunification Center, which is the community center. Yes, sir. Anybody else? You can always reach me at the sheriff's office and I'll return your call. You can also send me an email and I'll be happy to respond to that. And if I need to meet with you, I will do that as well. Yes, sir.
Can the cards be pre-filled out? Can you pick them up at the school before at any time have them pre-filled out?
No. You have to pick them up at the Reunification or at the Family Information Center. Good question. Anything else?
I was gonna ask if students or teachers, both had the ability to sound an alarm, for an active shooter.
Yes,
Anybody in the school has the ability to raise an alarm.
correct. Anybody on the panel?
We've spent a lot of time together and a lot of people in the room working on this plan. And I've had a lot of thoughts about this, and I kind of want to distill this down to kind of two main things. Number one, I was not actively involved in the STEM school shooting down in Highlands Ranch about 4 years ago, but I was there with the traffic and the reunification, and it was absolute chaos. And I was thinking about the fact that I don't know how many schools there are in the Douglas County School District. There's got to be dozens. I don't know how many law enforcement and fire and ambulance companies there are in the Douglas County School District, but it's got to be a dozen at least. And so I think the big failure of a big school district like that is that they don't have the resources that we have to concentrate on this school. You've got every agency in the county, and all we care about is right here. So our resources are focused and concentrated, and a lot of minds came together to work on this plan, and we found a lot of things that were broken. And that leads me to my second point, is that February 22nd, it's 7 months after the fact, I think I can say this without maybe raising too many eyebrows. But as traumatic as it was for particularly a lot of parents that we heard from, it was probably the very best thing that could have happened in terms of us developing this plan. Because what it showed us is where we did really well, and it showed us some other things that we had kind of started to work on, and we kind of had an idea, and what we kind of tried to throw together there that day in the moment didn't really work well, as far as the evacuation and the reunification and that sort of thing. So, best possible scenario, nothing bad happened at the school. Nobody was hurt or killed. It wasn't a real incident, but it was one of the most realistic training exercises without it on purpose being a training exercise that I've ever been involved with in 22 years in law enforcement. So I know it may be kind of painful and kind of rub some people the wrong way to hear this, but it really was probably the best thing that could have happened. because it revealed to us our weaknesses and our shortcomings and where we needed to fix things and where we needed to put things into place that we hadn't even thought of. And all of these people, you have to thank for that, because we really took this to heart. And we want this to be, we don't ever want it to happen again, but if it does, I guarantee it's gonna be a lot better than it was in February.
Troy? Chief?
Sheriff Armstrong?
Yeah.
I want to ask a question. I know during that event, there was a lot of communication from the students to the parents on the internet and social media that was not correct. And I just wondered how the school is addressing that, or they have a plan, or they discuss that with the students and the parents.
That's one thing that we probably will never be able to solve. That is going to happen, and in every other shooting, school shooting that I looked at here in the last 5 years, that has always been an issue and a problem. So what we do in our initial response, and I'm not going to talk about tactics or anything like that, we have a plan in place to help limit some of that.
And Superintendent McKenzie, is there a comment on that, or as far as parents, students,
We have
protocol, or?
kids in Young's elementary school that have cell phones. And one of the things that came out of the Columbine shooting in 1999 was if kids that had cell phones, they could have texted out, called out, told whoever, parents, law enforcement, where they were. That's been a point of controversy now for well over 20 years. And there's just really no way that we can really limit that. But we can control it better, especially at the onset. We really do, God forbid we ever do, if we really do have an incident here at school, it's very likely, as I said a moment ago, to be over pretty quickly, that initial part of it. And then there's the rest of it, which takes a lot of time. And not only do we need time, or do we need patience for reunification, we also need patience as we try to clear, law enforcement tries to clear the building, make sure that there aren't additional perpetrators, make sure that there aren't any other things that would cause harm to students and staff. And that will take some time. But once we get to that point, I think we would be able to do more of a gradual release and let a few students text their parents to say, I'm okay, and this is what's going on, and this is what we know. And one of the things that we've changed, communication was obviously a huge problem. For me, and the protocols that we were following on lockdown, it's locks, lights, out of sight, maintain silence. You're not supposed to be texting anyone, calling anyone. You're supposed to just hide in a dark room and just hope that when it's all over, you're able to walk out of that dark room and be reunified with your parents. So that's what we did. So there was no communication from the school. When we talk about other schools like Douglas County, as an example, a large school district has many other schools. They have many layers of services. People are at all other buildings all across that school district. They all have roles that they take when there is a lockdown and there is an active shooter. We're all here in one building. So our protocol is that we all lock down. There was a concern about the kids not getting lunch, not being able to be fed. And that was because all our cafeteria workers were in lockdown. They were hiding. They were behind a locked door. They weren't able to continue to prepare lunch. And so we didn't have any food ready when things came to a close. And so we're going to mitigate that too and provide some snacks in the classroom, give some parent volunteers. They're going to put together, lack of a better phrase, lockdown baskets so kids can have water and snacks, maybe candy, some things to do, puzzles, word searches, coloring books, age appropriate as it goes. So I think part of what we have done in the 10 years that I've been here, we instituted the I Love You Guys processes and protocols. And as the sheriff said, everything's on their website, and it's open access. And if you have more interest, you should really look through the website and see what's there. Because you'll know what we do. And those of you that have kids in school, they know what to do too when we have the different responses to different events that might occur at school. Our most concerned would be an active shooter. But I think what we did learn is we did train and drill in the school up until whatever might happen, because nothing ever really did happen. And so we're really good at getting prepared to respond to an active shooter. But we never drilled, we never really spoke much about what happens thereafter. And in our case, although it didn't go on for as long as it may have, had it been an actual emergency, but it did go on for about 3 or 4 hours before we were able to go through, and law enforcement went through and cleared all the classrooms. And they secured the halls in the school, the perimeter, the exterior, and the interior of the school pretty quickly. And they needed to go through room by room. And that's what took a lot of time. And then those of you that participated in the reunification, either helping out or as a parent to come get your child, yeah, as Kevin said, that could have gone better. We found a lot of holes in that system. But everything about reunification that you saw in that film, there are some PDF handouts on the I Love You Guys Foundation. And that's exactly what we'll do, is what's there, and that's exactly what we'll communicate to parents. And we do have that information available. But as time has gone on, we put stuff out. Not everybody always reads it. They put it out the last few years because of the pandemic and different things that we really weren't focused on. Again, a long answer to the question. It's really hard to control kids, but we've learned a lot about texting. But we've learned a lot about how that might start to look after the initial first 2 minutes, after the initial first 5 minutes, and probably any type of event would likely be over, according to the research, within 10 minutes at the latest, at the most. So it's the hours after that first 2, 5, or 10 minutes that we've really learned a lot about and what we need to do to help kids as well as help staff members through that time frame.
I just want to make one comment and probably pass this on as many parents as I can. When we do the lockdown, or when they do a lockdown, it says out of sight, turn off your lights so it doesn't look like anybody's inside that room and hide. If you have 5 kids texting on there, can you imagine the elimination that is going on in that school, inside that classroom? We need to find ways not to eliminate that room and keep the kids from texting, because that could be an open invitation to the shooter or to the hazard. So please talk to your kids about that. Your safety is paramount here, and we need your help in doing that. Christina?
One thing I wanted to add is the 2-page handout that was available at the front door, the one that is stapled together, that is specifically tailored to the process within Gilpin County. So if you look the process up on the I Love You Guys website, you may notice that handout has some different job titles. We purposely tweaked that document to fit the process that is in place for Gilpin County. So that handout is the most accurate depiction of how that process will work.
Kevin, if you don't mind. So to address the communication issue and to be a little bit more direct in the answer, we all know that social media, Facebook pages specifically within Gilpin County may not always give the right information as to what's going on. So if you are looking for information that is specific and relevant to the event, the Gilpin County Sheriff's Facebook page is where you want to go. Anything else out there, hasn't been vetted, hasn't been sourced out. And, that day proved unique, and I will echo what Trooper Petty said. It provided us not only an exercise in the school event, but the reunification event, but as you alluded to, sir, the communications and the redundancy that we were up against that day. So when we start looking at fallback plans or notification plans or alert plans as well, now between myself, Lisa Gray back there, the communications director, we are trying to figure out ways to get information out immediately to our HyperReach system. So if you're not signed up for that, that is going to be one of the key ways that you will get information through the sheriff's office that is trusted, verified, and vetted. And then everything then will go to the social media platforms. So when you're looking for valid information and you're looking for the right information, please defer to that and follow those pages. And you don't have to have a Facebook or a social media account to get on there to look at those.
Again, I can't thank all of our first responders, our staff, our community center staff, and everybody that came together to address this issue. This was a collaborative effort of everybody in this county that has a vested interest in this school and the kids here in this school. It just shows that a community coming together can overcome some of the obstacles that have occurred. I was at Columbine. I was an investigator at Columbine. I was an investigator in charge of the shooting at Emily Keys at Platte Canyon. Very, very tragic incidents. So I'm very well and concerned about any type of event that might occur here. It's on my forefront of my mind. Again, you can reach me at the sheriff's office. You can send me a text. You can send me I'm available on all kinds of stuff. And email me your questions. If you want to meet with me, I'm happy to do that as well.
Great job, Sheriff.
So is there anything else that we can help you with? Any other questions or comments?
If you'd like to see what the communication card looks like, I'm certainly more than welcome to. I just need the laminated versions back, please.
Okay. Again, thank you for taking time out of your night and listening to this presentation. And again, please contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie is always,
So we know that we can tear them off, so we have to keep a copy of it. So I don't know that someone can talk.
Hey, Charles.
Oh, yeah.